The last time we talked about this game, it was going through a bit of a rough patch. There were issues with their distributor, Konami. Their appearance at EVO was cancelled due to some controversy, and shortly after our last video, the studio responsible for the game was all but destroyed. What the fuck? But the topic of today's video is the definition of a comeback story, with fans who are almost fanatical in their devotion to the one true fighting game. Almost 10 years after the game's original release, we're once again talking about how this game has risen from the ashes and now finds itself in the best shape of its long, illustrious career. This is our Skullgirls Encore. For the uninitiated, we actually made another video on Skullgirls back in 2020. If you want to gain some context before diving into this piece, I'd recommend watching that one first. But either way, here's a quick history of Skullgirls to refresh your memory. Released in 2012, Skullgirls and its sequel, Skullgirls Second Encore, are 2D fighting games with hand-drawn sprites, incredibly detailed hitboxes, and gorgeous art, sound, and characters. Skullgirls was an instant hit in smaller gaming circles. Though it never gained widespread popularity like Street Fighter or Tekken, it had a niche following that stuck with it through EVO donation drives, disputes with the game's publisher, Kickstarter campaigns to keep the studio's lights on, and even making it back to EVO for the first time in years, only to have the whole thing shut down. When we released our last video, we thought that we'd covered just about everything. But good God, were we ever wrong. As has happened time and time again, Skullgirls continues to surprise and impress, pushing through 2020 on the back of the game's excellent netcode, jumping into 2021 to be featured at some of the biggest tournaments of the year, and setting themselves up for a finale in 2022 that'll knock your socks off. But before we can get into all of that, we have to talk about what happened to Skullgirls because things took a very dark turn very quickly. In June 2020, the Skullgirls community was shaken to its core. The game's lead designer and programmer, Mike Zymont, was accused by 2 employees, as well as community members outside of the company, of sexual misconduct. Creative director Marielle Cartwright said in an interview with Kotaku, quote, "I tolerated years of sexual comments about my body and clothes, uncomfortable jokes, unwanted hugs. If I wanted to keep my job, I felt like I had to just deal with it." Streamer and Twitch personality Bunny IU corroborated these claims by posting DMs she received from Zymont after she attempted to compliment the game's art design. In response to these allegations, community figureheads came forward to denounce Zymont, with top competitor Sonic Fox saying on Twitter, quote, "His actions don't speak on behalf of the Skullgirls community as a whole. Nobody likes what he did here. His actions do not reflect the integrity of the Skullgirls community at all, and we will be sure consequences are carried out appropriately." This sentiment was shared by the rest of the community. According to senior art producer Brian Jun, quote, "I was shocked to read others' company chat records of Mike Z putting others in extremely uncomfortable situations, as well as exerting his position of power to demean and control employees. This was a clear pattern of systemic abuse and lack of empathy, while himself refusing to accept feedback and not showing a willingness to change." A few months after the allegations came out, Lab Zero saw a mass exodus of employees, and after all of the resignations were said and done, the studio was left as a team of only 11. With things clearly not going so well, a board was formed, which requested that Zymont resign from his position at the studio. Unfortunately, Zymont would only agree to resign if some very specific and legally ambiguous terms were met. These terms were apparently unacceptable and ultimately rejected by the board, so Zymont decided that the most mature thing to do was to dissolve the board and assume sole control over Lab Zero Games, firing every remaining employee in the process. Almost immediately after Lab Zero imploded, all those employees who were fired decided to create their own studio, Future Club. And after partnering with Autumn Games' Skullgirls IP holder and Hidden Variable, the game's mobile developer, Skullgirls would continue to live on, building a new season's pass and announcing a new character, Annie, coming later that year. The next few months were relatively quiet. The game was still being developed, the players were happy, and the community was growing. Especially since Skullgirls has such good online netcode and is one of the only fighting games that can be played competitively from the comfort of your own home.
Oh my goodness, what? 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 Oh my god! Holy shit, give me some fire! Give me some fire emojis.
But fighting game players are not casual gamers. There needs to be something on the line, some stakes to raise. And on March 31st, 2021, Skullgirls decided to take matters into their own hands, announcing the Skullgirls Championship Series. The online tournament series would consist of 3 blockbuster events, a last chance qualifier, and a soon-to-be-announced grand finale. The championship series put up $17,500 in prize money and functioned similarly in structure to events like the Capcom Pro Tour. Compete in tournaments to earn points. The bigger the tournament, the more points you earn. The players with the most points get to compete for a grand prize. And the great thing about this format is that any major tournament throughout the year would allow players to earn points. Now, due to the pandemic, in-person events have been scarce and limited almost exclusively to locals and regionals, if anything at all. But if you watched our first video, you'll know that Skullgirls has some of the best online infrastructure in the FGC. So it's no surprise that in July 2021, Skullgirls would make its grand return to the Evolution Fighting Series at EVO Online 2021, where organizers planned a side event for Skullgirls' second encore. However, 1 week before the event was set to take place, EVO announced that Skullgirls was getting called up from the minor leagues to the main stage itself, where the game would be featured alongside some of the biggest names in the industry: Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat 11, Guilty Gear Strive. The best of the best of the best, and Skullgirls was one of only 5 titles chosen to be represented. The online-only event featured 3 separate tournaments, one in North America, one in Asia, and one in Europe. When all was said and done, the North American event saw Cloud being crowned champion, winning grand finals over Triviality, Pen Pen winning out in Asia, and Mr. Peck being crowned victorious in Europe.
He might be starting to happy birthday. Wow. Oh, but no cancel though, Jammers. That could have been a very...
Listen, I think he's got the stream on, you know. Has he got it? That's it. That's going to be level 1 catastrophe cannon cancelled into the silent scope for no reason. But that's going to be it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Peck is your EVO Online 2021 for the European region Skullgirls champion here.
Shortly after EVO, Umbrella was announced as a DLC character. And on December 5th, 2021, another character, Black Dahlia, was also announced. With this second announcement, the stage was set for yet another Skullgirls hype train, so Future Club decided to drop a double whammy and also announced the final event in the championship series, the Final Blockbuster. Slated for March 5th, 2022, Final Blockbuster boasts the best players in the world competing for a $10,000 prize pool. The top of the list, none other than Sonic Fox, who is looking poised to win the entire Skullgirls Championship series. However, players like Triviality, Swift Fox Dash, PME, DKill Sage, Hydra, Rabble Flaggers, and the EVO Online champion himself, Cloud, are close behind. Who will take home the grand prize? It's hard to say, but you best believe that the Final Blockbuster will be one of the best events of the year. It's been a long, bumpy road for Skullgirls. For years, it seemed like the game just couldn't catch a break. But through its excellent mechanics, stellar netcode, and the undying love of its fans, Skullgirls has soldiered on, and we're incredibly excited to see where it goes next. This video is made possible thanks to our wonderful patrons. Massive thank you to everyone on this list, and shout out to Jason, B, Brendan, QB, Foxy, Mauve, Pachanas, Sierra, Shampoo, Weeaboo, Spartacus, and Yashichi for being platinum supporters. And an extra special shout out to Steven, Noodles, and Marco for being diamond supporters. Happy New Year! We're glad you're all still here. Check us out on Instagram, linked in the description. If you want to support our channel and get info on unreleased videos, check out our Patreon. If you want to help us out in a different way, leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell to stay up to date is also appreciated. My name is Jonah. Thanks for watching.